The ABCs of Intimacy explores all the ingredients and helps you understand their importance and value. We all seek to belong in a loving relationship with our lovers, spouses, family members, and friends. But we must first begin with ourselves. Self-love allows us to understand how love feels, and when we know love for ourselves, we can embrace the idea of love thy neighbor as we love ourselves, and know what we need and want in a loving relationship.
Book lovers unite! I'm Demethius Jackson, and you're listening to the Chapter 1 podcast. The greatest stories ever written all begin with Chapter 1. In each episode, our guest authors will share their first chapters with you. On this episode, we'll be talking with Dr. Kat Smith. She's a doctor of human sexuality certified by the American College of Sexologists, but she often refers to herself as an entomologist. It's her desire to inspire others to embrace the decadence of what love and intimacy has to offer. And today, Dr. Kat will be sharing with us her book entitled The ABCs of Intimacy. And it starts right now.
ABCs of Intimacy. In my practice, clients often seem confused about intimacy and sex. Actually, I also encounter the same confusion when I'm out and about. That misunderstanding causes a host of problems when we interact with prospective partners. Whether the partnership is platonic or romantic, understanding the difference between the two, intimacy and sex, is vital to the success of a relationship. Intimacy encompasses various qualities and characteristics, serving as a bonding agent during challenging times. It is a process, not a thing, and it is the foundation of any relationship. Intimacy is the trust, affection, love, support, care, nurturing, and more that forms what supports the relationship. It takes place over time and is not stagnant. In fact, any kind of stagnation in a relationship kills intimacy. It's the ingredients that make up the slab of the foundation of the home that will support your love. Recognizing these differences can be very beneficial for the ability to create loving, caring, and affectionate, intimate relationships. Most of us are sure of what the perfect love relationship is for us individually, but does it mirror that of your partner? This is where a conflict may lie. Whether you are emotionally balanced or have some fear of intimacy, try this. If you sit and visualize what would make your marriage or partnership satisfying and exciting, you can manifest it in your life with a little intimate ABC mixology. If you desire to build a more intimate relationship, I have created a recipe that is sure to make you drunk in love. The ABCs of Intimacy encompasses the many aspects of a delicious, solid, intensely refreshing beverage. From A to Z, inhale the aroma, sip slowly, and enjoy the notes and flavors of what intimacy has to offer. Grab your beverage ingredients and consume these heart-touching spirits. We begin with a thought, a wish, a desire, a need for love, which is stronger than any emotion we can express. Love is an energy that must flow to and from. When we block that flow with fear or with past disappointments and pain, we constrain love coming to us or us giving love authentically. Now let's look at each letter and see what it contributes to intimacy.
Here's the part of the show that I know you skip over, but we're going to do it anyway. I want to take this moment to share with you a few amazing things that I've discovered. If you're listening to this podcast, then I'm assuming you listen to podcasts in general. And if so, you really want to check out The Art of Charm, AOC with Jordan Harbinger. The Art of Charm brings together some of the best thought leaders, teachers, and exceptional individuals to teach you how to be a top performer in life, love, and at work. Imagine having a mix of experienced mentors teaching you their expertise, packing decades of research, testing, and tough lessons into a curriculum. That's what you get with AOC. I highly recommend this podcast for both men and women. I guarantee it will change your life. Be sure to listen to their show on iTunes or wherever podcasts are streamed. And for all of you aspiring writers out there, specifically in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas, if you're looking to take your writing to the next level, then the DFW Writers Workshop is for you. The DFW Writers Workshop helps and encourages North Texas writers of all genres and experience levels to produce professional quality writing suitable for publication. I've personally been involved with the DFW Writers Workshop for over a year, and these guys are amazing. Their weekly Wednesday meetings are held in Euless, Texas, and they have not missed a Wednesday since they began in 1977. I'm talking sun, rain, snow, sleet, hail, holiday, doesn't matter. They are there. And if you want to take your writing to the next level, you should be there too. Get in touch with the DFW Writers Workshop at their website, dfwwritersworkshop.org. Once your writing has reached publication, it's a good idea to have an organization behind you. And what better organization than the Texas Association of Authors? Texas Authors, as it is often abbreviated, is the only organization in Texas whose focus is to promote authors within the great state of Texas itself. The association leverages the knowledge and expertise of many of its different authors to help promote others within the world of reading and writing. As a nonprofit organization, Texas Authors relies on strong relationships with individuals, other nonprofit organizations, and publishing companies to help establish a presence in both local and statewide events. Utilizing technology, social media, and the knowledge of its members, Texas Authors gives you a unique advantage within an already competitive marketplace. Learn more about the Texas Association of Authors on their website at books.txauthors.com. Today I have with us Dr. Kat Smith. She is not only an author, she is an entomologist. Now, of course, you have to explain to us what an entomologist actually is.
Thank you so much for having me on, first of all. An entomologist is an intimacy expert, and I coined that phrase, but a lot of people, when I say entomologist or when anyone says entomologist, they think of the bug expert because it starts with an E, but this is intimacy expert, so entomologist.
So how exactly did you get started into that? What drove you to become an entomologist?
Well, during my time with ABC Radio Networks, Inc., I hosted a show titled A Woman's Point of View. It's an hourly, weekly show. And during that time, I talked about relationships. And a lot of the things that we discussed, there was a lot of confusion in relationships. So I wanted to do something that would help people figure things out.
So you say there's a difference between sex and intimacy. What are those differences? Why are they different?
Well, my definition of sex, it is the physical expression of the desire, the lust, the passion you have for someone, because we all know that love sometimes has nothing to do with it, right?
Absolutely.
So it's a physical expression that we share with someone. But intimacy, it encompasses sex. It's one of the components, but intimacy is so much more. It's the foundation. It's the trust, the bonding. It's the respect, the care, support. Is so much more. And once you have all of those ingredients all mixed in with your relationship, you have a high success rate.
So essentially, it's the energy, the emotion that goes beyond the physical.
Yes, it really is. And it's also those moral and character traits that really build on you being able to communicate well and share common interest and beliefs. So it really supports so many different areas of the relationship.
So what do you say to those who aren't necessarily seeking a connection and they just want to be free to have sexual relationships with no commitment?
In my practice, there is no judgment. People come to me to share intimate things because they feel they can talk to me about anything, and they won't be judged. It's just a very open environment. So if that's what you want to do, just be honest. If you just want friends with benefits, or you don't really want to be friends afterwards, you just want, to have sex and move on, just be honest with that person. And that way it just lessens the blow if they're not if you're not attracted to them, that they won't feel hurt, because people carry around that pain and they take it into the next relationship and the next relationship. But it's okay. I mean, you have the freedom to express yourself sexually, but just don't hurt people along the way.
A long time ago, I heard the phrase that communication is the foundation of maintaining a successful relationship. And I guess you can apply that to any stage of a relationship, even if it's just casual dating, that communication has to be there.
I totally agree with that. There's so many unspoken contracts. We bring all of this stuff into the relationship, and what we believe may not really be a truth. Okay, so we take that in, and we expect people to be able to read our minds. And until we express those ideas, beliefs, they won't get a really clear picture of who we are and what we're all about. So communication is just vital.
Absolutely. And then the other party is sitting there feeling that those needs aren't being heard, or maybe they aren't being heard. And then that can, of course, evolve into resentment. And
Yes.
you could probably write another book on that.
Yes, I have a diagram that I've created. I call it the intimacy wheel. And in the core, it's intimacy. And then you have all of these spokes creating the wheel, and it's, all of these terms that I identify in the book. If one thing gets out of sync, it can cause a lack of communication. It can cause a lack of trust or respect. And then everything starts. And the wheel is not rolling smoothly anymore. There's a lot of bumps and bounces. So the thing is to communicate clearly and honestly and fairly in a relationship. And it just makes the journey really smooth.
Speaking of the different terms, are there really terms for every letter of the alphabet?
Yes, I found some. Now, X is a tricky one because I use XXOO, which is hugs and kisses. So I use that. But yes, there's a term for each letter that you can take and you can look at and kind of analyze to see if you have all of these things in your relationship so that you have a well-rounded relationship.
So the book itself actually isn't broken down into chapters. It's literally the alphabet. What was the thought behind that formatting?
Well, I was inspired by the book, Who Moved My Cheese? Okay, it was a small book, easy read, and you had these aha moments. So I really wanted to pattern it after that. Today's couples are emotionally, mentally, and physically exhausted. We're constantly plugged in. We're trying to do everything. You got the kids, you got everything going on. So I thought, well, let me make this book an easy read, and it could be used as a devotional. I mean, I always encourage whoever buys the book, have their partner read the book with them. So each morning, over coffee or whatever, you can read a term in that book and discuss that book and get a dialogue started so that you can actually spend some quality time and then start to really understand how each other feels about certain things, and then you can resolve those things on a daily basis, or you can do it weekly. That way you can focus on one term and really try to see how you can apply it to your relationship.
Not only is it quality time, but that's also something that you two can do together to help strengthen the communication, how you interpret the terms differently, or if you interpret them the same.
Yes, that is so true, because a lot of people think that it's men that don't understand the differences between intimacy and sex, but a lot of women don't understand. Now, I want to point out a fact that men have a challenge with separating sex and intimacy, and it's because as little boys, they are constantly told not to cry. They are separating their emotions from their lives. All of the love and attention and hugs and kisses and all of that you were getting from mom as you were growing up, then at a certain age, 8 or 9 years old, you start to pull back because everybody's telling you to be a man. And no more crying and no more.
I've never cried in my life.
So, mom can't coddle you anymore. And guess what? The next time you're getting all of that love and attention and that closeness and all of that, you're engaged in a sexual relationship. So now you've merged the two. Intimacy is sex. So it is very difficult to separate those two. And now I'm taking on the charge to re-educate people, and like I said, it's not just men, it's women and men, on what intimacy truly is.
Again, this same upbringing I had, where I was my mother's only child, so of course, I got all the attention in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But as I became a teenager, I was told that I had to be hard, I had to be tough. You know how
Yeah.
kids do to each other. And when I was in my mid-20s, that was when I realized that you can't really have a good relationship if you never open up to someone.
Yes.
So it was almost as if I had to forget everything that I thought was correct and then relearn, I want to say, another skill.
Relationships are a skill.
Absolutely. So within the book, you also mention a love perspective. What exactly is that?
That's going back to those beliefs. How we view love, sex, and romance is what I call your love perspective. When we're trying to blend our stuff with someone else's stuff, we have to really look at what we want to bring into that relationship. So these are beliefs, and they can be tradition, they can be from our family, they could be from religion, the media, life experiences. So all of this stuff, we're trying to blend into a life with someone. And until we really examine all of this stuff and see what's beneficial and what's not, and what's true and what's not, we can bring some damaging stuff into our relationships. Because our parents sometimes didn't know why they were teaching us certain things. And if you really ask people, where do you get that from? That belief from? They'll go, well, my parents told me, or, and parents were truth, that's fact.
That was all you knew.
Yes. And when you cut through all of that and you really say, well, what's true? You can eliminate a lot of the stuff that'll be bad habits or damaging to relationships. So when you stop and just say, okay, what do I envision my perfect relationship? You can start to manifest and bring those things into your relationship, and other stuff will fall off. I have a program called The Love Perspective. It's a DVD and workbook program that helps people really dig deep, especially if there's any trauma or abuse. It really helps people to dig deep and eliminate that stuff from their lives so they can open up to receive what love and intimacy really is out there. I always say people don't want to dig through their garbage. But, we hold on to that garbage, and you know what garbage smells like after it sits around too long? We don't want to keep that stuff along. So we just got to dig through it and be able to move on with our lives.
Well, love, sex, and intimacy is such a taboo topic to discuss nowadays. There are a lot of folks out there who do want that clarity, but they're afraid, or perhaps they're ashamed. So what are some of the ways that you would encourage folks to explore this?
Well, I have a degree in sexology. Now, I've expanded that to really encompass the intimacy thing, because a lot of clients that have come to me, they don't really have a sex problem. They have a connection problem and an intimacy problem. So if you're having some challenges or some concerns, it's okay to reach out to people who are professionals. If you don't call me, there's a lot of relationship coaches that are certified in helping people resolve relationship issues. There are sexologists, they are intimacy experts, they are coaches. So reach out to someone. We have the internet, which is a wonderful thing, and you can find someone wherever you are.
Do you think perhaps there are people out there that just aren't lovable?
Well, I like to believe, and that may be just my thing, but I like to believe that we are loved, we are loving, and we are lovable. Now, I get a lot of questions where people doubt their lovability, but being lovable or love-abled is a choice. I always say lovable people are able to love, and you can disable that lovability by your actions and your beliefs. So if you are loving and caring and nurturing, then you're going to reflect that, and you're going to get that back. Like I said, love is an energy, and it needs to flow to and from. But you can put up a wall and just block that energy. It just bounces off.
And then the other person feels that.
Yes. Because we are energy as well, and we can sense when something is not right in a relationship.
So how did you discover this line of work, and what prompted you to write about it?
Well, first of all, I'm a survivor of abuse, and I always felt that because I came through it in a way that I feel is a very healthy and solid way, that I was supposed to be a voice for those who can't communicate and articulate how it feels to be abused, betrayed, violated. And so I wanted to use that in a good way. I cannot explain to you the satisfaction and how I'm so grateful that I have this opportunity to help others.
In addition to teaching couples, you also teach other authors. What are some of the things you help them with?
Well, I find it very interesting when authors tell me that I don't like to be a salesperson. I'm not a good salesperson. I just want to write my book and be done. Well, if you want to really be a best-selling author, you have to sell your books and you have to sell yourself. So marketing is very important. So I kind of help authors to understand their part in marketing and promoting themselves. I focus really on interviewing. So I really try to give them some back story on how to present themselves either on radio and television, because I have a lot of background in that.
We all know how important promotion is. So why do you suppose so many authors are unable or reluctant to promote themselves?
I think because writing is such a solitary thing, and once we create this world with our book, it's hard for us to step outside of that and say, oh, now I'm an authority, because a lot of people say, well, who are you and what makes you think? And I always tell people, when people come at you that way, just say, I am the author of this book and this is what my foundation is. Because you have to have a platform. You have to have a platform by being able to reach and pull in those people that you've worked with before, or the people that know you have expertise in a certain area. So build your platform and just stand in your right that you are an author, you're an authority on what you're sharing, and come out of that fear.
You're an authority because you literally wrote the book.
Exactly.
What are some tips to help authors overcome those hang-ups?
Well, I always say practice. They always talk about your elevator speech. Get a pitch for your book and don't follow everybody's way of doing things. Come up with 20 great points about your book. Write them down in questions. Answer those questions on paper. That can serve as your frequently asked questions. It can also be a guide for your interview. That way you can always make sure you get in what your website is, how to get in touch with you, any book tours or events that you're going to be at. And then you give them those little teasers so that it'll draw them in and want to read your book. And then once you get those things down and practice your answers and really get that sharp, then you can start reaching out to the media. We all watch TV. We know who's on the air. We can also do some research online. Find out who is the book columnist in the local papers and things like that. And go and speak to small groups and just get involved. Don't be afraid.
Start a podcast.
Yes. That was a great idea.
So it was great having you on. Where can readers find you online?
Well, very easy. drkatsmith.com. That's drkatsmith.com. And all of my social media buttons are right across the top of the page. And yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm all over the place. And I've done some really good SEO. So if you Google Dr. Cat Smith, I'll come up all over the place.
I need to talk to you about SEO, definitely. It was really great having you on, Dr. Cat. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
And with that, we'll conclude another episode. I just want to take a moment to sincerely thank all of the listeners and all of the authors who have been going out of their way to make sure that this show is a success. I gotta admit, I was not expecting the level of support that this show has been receiving. The request from authors to be on the show is almost starting to trickle in daily, and we're only 5 episodes in, so that's a great thing. I will continue trying to be the best presenter that I can be in hopes of helping you discover some great writers and some great stories. Till next time.